everybody, and welcome to episode 10 already of the Bao Podcast. After a short winter break, we're back with a bang. For today's podcast, our guest is no one less than Jan Kriekels. Jan is the owner of Jaga Climate Designers, a radiator manufacturer using innovative heating and cooling technologies. Jaga employs over 600 people and operates in over 35 countries across the globe. Under his leadership, the company has won a great many international design and export awards. And among many other big projects, they are the company behind the innovative heating technology installed in the residence of Russian President Putin
himself.
And at the Telefónica headquarters in Madrid. So I'm very curious to get to know more about you and your activities. So let's get into it. Welcome, Jan. How are you doing today?
Fine. Yesterday I was on the ski resort. It was better.
Yeah, sometimes you wish you were skiing every day, of course, but yeah.
No, I think maybe in the future we can do this in virtual reality. We don't have to go there anymore.
Yeah, most likely. Mm-hmm. I think chances are quite high.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of skiing, you are, of course, also managing quite a big and well-known company in Flanders, Jaga. Mm-hmm. I thought it could maybe be an interesting point to start to just go a little bit back into time and explain a little bit where Jaga was created from, what the idea was behind Jaga, and how did it all start, basically?
Mm-hmm. If you go to the real beginning, it started more than 200,000 years ago, when we started to control the fire because we had no any chance to go into the jungle, because the moment you stood still, you could be eaten. So we had to live in caves before and eat the rest of the food which was available from the bigger animals, which had higher technologies to survive in the jungles. So we created a fire. As you know, in the Prometheus, he stole the fire from the Mount Olympus, and he brought it to the humans. And with this fire, we powered everything what we see today. So everything we see comes from fire. So our business was bringing fire into the homes of the people, because the fire protects you, takes the biological things which can destroy you away, and makes you social. And also you can bake your food on it, which makes it possible that you have some free time. So slowly this fire came everywhere, and we first had all the wood, which we burned away. Afterwards, when the wood was all burned away, we started with charcoal. And when the charcoal was burned away, we started with oil and with high technologies like nuclear technology. But everything was about bringing the fire to the people. So Prometheus stole the fire, but he was actually punished by Pandora. And that's what we're maybe going to talk about today, what the punishment what Pandora brought to the earth. So Jaga started actually being a very fast and cheap heating solution, which was basically based on burning of energy. And in the 80s, we already started with manufacturing heat pumps. Heat pumps in the 80s. So Jaga was the market leader in heat pumps in the 80s, but we were destroyed by the cheap energy prices of the oil companies in the world. And that's why we stopped actually with making heat pumps, which could multiply the energy. The heat pump is a beautiful product which takes the energy, you deliver it, and it gives it 5 up to 20 times more back. So it's a multiplicator. It's not something which uses energy. It's a multiplicator of energy. That's the first thing. So I started to design all these heat pumps, sanitary heat pumps, heat pumps for central heating and cooling your home. But we were pushed back by the giants, which said that everything had to be cheap, not ecological. So we started actually as ideologists, which wanted to make the most ideological situation for the homes. After that, we started making design, because there was no other possibility. People believed too much in themselves. So we said, okay, we're going to surround them by beautiful products. But today, we create technological solutions which can create some comfort for you without pushing nature back.
Okay. So in the beginning, I didn't know this. In the beginning, designed and produced heat pumps.
Heat pumps in the 80s. They still function.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If somebody wants to discuss about sustainability of technology with heat pumps, a lot of these heat pumps are still running.
They're still functioning.
They are still running.
They're still creating heat.
Yeah.
That's
still
amazing.
Producing heat, yeah.
That's 40 years, 42 years.
Yeah, they're still working, yeah.
Okay. And so you started with the heat pumps, then the competition from Asia mostly, I presume, or the low energy prices?
No, the gas boilers.
The
gas was so incredibly cheap because when you take the energy price of gas, you don't pay the pollution. Mm-hmm. When you take energy of oil, you don't pay the pollution. And with heat pumps, there is no pollution. So if you compare these things, you have to be honest for yourself and say, okay, we have to calculate also the pollution, which brings actually this gas into the atmosphere by burning it away. Yeah? And when you take this into account, heat pumps are the most efficient solution you can have at this moment.
Yeah. And then how long after the start with the heat pumps did you switch to did you immediately switch more to the convectors?
But the solutions we had in the 80s already were the most advanced heating solutions already there. And they could function at temperatures up 75 degrees, which were already very cold. And today we recreated these products that they can function on 35 degrees. So actually I can heat your home with body temperature of water. It's unbelievable. And at the meantime, this radiator, which functions on body temperature, can also cool your home. So, and it can be connected with all alternative energy systems possible in the world. So we have the ideal solution. For me was economy, the word eco. It means you have to have respect for the ecological situation too. But lots of people understand economy as only an advantage for themselves and nothing for the nature.
Yeah, and that's a problem these days.
It's a perception. Our brain is choosing the best solution for ourselves, not for nature. So if you go into the position, what have I done also before, being actually a designer or ecologist designer, is I traveled the world with as less as possible.
Okay.
I don't know if you can imagine when you travel with as less as possible through what situations you come, and you feel nothing. You're nothing. Okay? Because you're alone in the big world, nobody knows where you are, and any day something can change, but you have as little as possible with you.
And you were traveling before you started working at Jaga?
Yes, so
before the 80s?
I wanted to see the world first before I did something in the world, because I wanted to do it well. Because often you cannot get out of the box to judge about what you're doing. So first you have to live out of the box and find out what the world looks like. So I've been into maybe 100 countries, and I see all the pollution going on there, and I thought, they are all insane. What do they really want? So I also lived with all these people off-grid, and they lived in some kind of circular economy. They did not manufacture more than they needed, and they did not breed any more children than they needed, actually. And then you come into another world, they call it the white man disease, where everybody's polluting air, earth, and water.
And this was in the 70s?
70s, yes.
And how long did you travel?
Altogether, I did this exercise all my life. So first I said I have to possible to live from nothing. Then life is easy, because you can always go back to the old situation. Mm-hmm. And losing things is not a problem then. But then there I found out that technology is actually the only thing which gives the possibility of humans to survive on Earth. Because when you go into the jungle without any technologies, I give you 4 days. You're eaten.
Yeah.
So we are the weakest. We are the weakest, and without technology, we cannot survive. So the most important technology that we use to make everything what you see today, everything what moves, all products, is the fire. So that's why I went to the Burning Man Festival in the year of 2006 to demonstrate what a fire can do. And people, I see it not directly as the fire, but things are going to happen today into the climate is only because of the fire we use. We use too much fire. And that's the stolen instrument which we have taken from the gods. Mm-hmm.
So you traveled the world in the 70s.
Yeah.
You saw a lot of
pollution. But I also see people living on a natural way in harmony.
In balance, basically.
Balance, and they had more spiritual technologies to be happy. Not
Right.
materialistic technologies. They didn't want to have houses, airplanes, boats, flying to the gods. They just could exercise this internally. That's what's called spiritualism. And I think that's something we all have to learn to be happy in ourselves again.
Yeah, I think there is a lot to be said about what you're saying right now. I'm just trying to make the connection from a 10-year journey throughout all these different countries and all these different experiences, and then you come back to Belgium.
Yeah, and then you say, I go back to these countries with a solution for them.
Okay.
That's why we won all these export prizes, because everywhere on the world I had my contacts, and I went there, and I had no fear in traveling, because I loved all these people as much as I love the Flemish people. Because I examined them, how do they get their water, how do they heat their homes, how do they have comfort, how do they treat the pollution, how are they in the pollution, what do they do with their wastewater and everything. So you see a very harmony, let's say, societies, but you see a very unbalanced societies like the ones we are living today in. So this gives you a very good strength in your soul to judge about situations, because you've been out of the block a long time. And that's a bit, when we have to go into the box, it's very dangerous to say something, because the moment you say the truth in this world, people want to kill you.
Okay.
That's the situation. That's the difficulty what we have today. If you really tell the truth about where we are moving, people don't want to hear this.
You have experienced this yourself?
Everywhere.
Constantly.
So you can imagine, I did a world tour with a truck, going on the stage in more than 35 countries, and I said to them that we are all doing wrong things, and also I gave the solutions. That's where I've written this book, Innovate or Die, from.
This one.
It's a survival solution of humanity on Earth. Which values do we have to follow to survive? But nobody cares about surviving. Everybody cares about pleasure and having things. So people are in the box, they are in another game as people out of the box.
And do you see more people moving inside the box, or more people
this consciousness
leaving the box?
There are more and more people which see the insanity of being in the box. Because it's like being in a ship at the bottom, you don't see the sea, and everybody believes that the ship is going in the right direction. The moment you go on deck, that's where the managers are. They have some kind of little fantasy about what they see, and they believe that the boat is going the direction. But when you want to really see where the Titanic goes, you have to go high where the sails are connected at the top, and then you see that we are not in a good direction going. Yeah? So people in the box, you have to forgive them what they say. But the managers, which have the consciousness, I cannot forgive them that they make wrong publicities about just having things. They know exactly where the boat is going to.
And the managers in
politics,
society,
economics, science people. And then I believe very hard in the United Nations, where you have this scientific approval that the planet is already on red alert. But nobody wants to believe it.
Have you noticed, because you saw this happening already from the 70s, are you seeing that things are becoming better, the awakened consciousness, or like the consciousness like around these things? Is it becoming better?
The psychology of the people is really changing. If you look, for example, to big, like China, for example, they are going more back to the Taoism, where they have another value system coming in the future. Europe also seeing people are moving to another feeling about the future, that is, say, this materialism is not bringing this joy, this really deep happiness. Also consumerism is making us empty. So I think there's a new episode coming. I call this the creative economy, where that people find joy back in making things. So I'm really a maker. And that's where the joy of life is, when you can create together or with a group of people something really beautiful, which is correct. This gives an enormous energy. And that's what we are all looking for.
I wholeheartedly agree. We've been working on our business as well for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And today we definitely not with 600 people, but even a small group like last year when Martin was also here, we were with like a group of 8 young people working on a common goal.
Yeah.
It's one of the most satisfying things you can do in life.
Yeah, it's most satisfying. They called it years ago the holy fire. This group of people, they had the holy fire. In the Bible, they had little flames above their head. It means they're so connected that they are one. And that's what we try to do by building Uchronia in the desert, which is an instrument or a piece of art about 150,000 meters of wood. In the beginning, there's a lot of problems, and people don't believe what you're going to do there. I look at us in the situation where we're in today, and they see everything as a valley of despair. Everything is pain, uncertainty. They don't know where to go. But in the moment that you create this piece of art together, this connection feeling is growing, and this is what I call a little bit this fire in your brain, in your heart, that you're doing the right thing, and you do it in a group. You're not alone. Huh? You do it in a group, and the moment you really reach it, it's like you're connected as one. That's the most powerful feeling you can have.
Is that also a feeling you try to achieve inside Jaga?
Yeah, that's the same feeling we do, and we try to do this international. We call this feeling Uchronia, the place where there is no time. That's the place where everything is perfect, and you don't see time anymore.
How do you try to achieve this inside the organization?
By, first of all, having collective art. Having collective art where you demonstrate this. For example, we did also a piece of art in Tongeren, where we created actually some kind of spaceship with wings of solar panels. And we asked 10,000 kids, what do you really want from the future? Draw it on little pieces of paper, write it down, and we collected everything in one box. And we brought this on this spaceship, and we transformed it to time, which was burning. And all these little beliefs of these children are everywhere now. So this is some kind of spiritual experiment. But there were 10,000 people, and these are little steps into to what we have to do in the future.
These kind of group exercises.
Group exercise, and that's what I want to do. I also said, maybe I want to take all the politics back to the desert, 3 months, do some exercises with them. I think I really, after 2-3 weeks, that you can do some transformation in your brain and your insights, and that you come back as a better man, doing better things for the people.
Yeah.
Because everybody is connected as in a spider web when you cannot move anymore, and you have to forgive all these people. So I believe that we do some transformation exercises with people, that they do the right thing afterwards.
What would be a transformation exercise?
A transformation exercise, we did it with 20 kids from Genk, which we sent to Morocco. First, they had to take all the plastic from the Pukkelpop, and they had to sell it on the market. And this money
in Morocco?
No, here in Belgium, and we doubled then the amount of money. And so they went then to the desert. They had to walk 100 kilometers together. Then they had to dig a hole for the water of these people. And then they had to plant 10,000 plants for the cooling of these people. And they came back, and I think maybe 50% of them are transformed. So we have to do more transformation expeditions together.
And how does this transformation present itself? Like they just change what they want to do? They're more focused on creating?
They only do the things which they think this is a good thing I'm doing.
Okay.
Because a lot of things we do, they have no responsibility. It has no responsibility.
The things that we're doing, or the people who are doing it? A lot of things
you do have no responsibility for the future. It's irresponsible.
Okay.
And then you really see the difference between these things are very responsible and these are things are not responsible. And that's what we have to do with all our societies. Not fight again for having more, but creating an ambiance that everybody can transform into a better human being and only wants to do the good things in life. And of course, when we go back to the housing, where you are sitting here for, this is a huge problem because we are finding ourselves in technologies which have been created in the past, All these houses, they are, let's say, perforated. When the wind comes, all the energy is blown out. When the sun comes, the sun is touching the window and the soil in the home. These houses are now fit for the future, because you can imagine when this air conditioning is falling out on the world, because we're living in a little glass bubble. The atmosphere is a glass bubble. And by bringing so much gas into the atmosphere, by burning all this oil and gas and wood everywhere, we created so much gas that some parts of the energy which touch the world, which have to be reflected to outside of the world, stay in the bubble. And that's what's causing the global warming or the greenhouse effect. And it's not only the energy, but it's also the gas of all the food we make for the cows and all the life forms we eat. So the two things which made us, energy and food, we have to stop. And bring in new technologies that we can live our life on Earth without touching the world.
And if you look at the scale of this exercise or this challenge, like you already mentioned that the houses today who have been built, there's so much.
If I'm honest, everything before 1995 we have to destroy.
Rebuild, renovate, and the speed of renovation we need, if you have to take into account what the United Nations says, the first 10 years we have to halve the CO2 output. By 2030.
Then the next day, the next 10 years again half of this, and then the next year again the half of this. It means only 12% is over. And I'm not seeing anything happening, because they're still using gas in the homes, and everybody's making promotion everywhere for gas, which is a stupidity. We have to tell the truth to the people. And we have to help the people by investment funds. I mean, every transformation of a home costs at least 30 to 50,000 euro. I mean, all this money in the world generated on pollution must come back in this fund. And with this fund, we can really help the people rebuild their homes and make them more efficient. But the homes are not the only thing we have to make efficient or green or with higher technology that we have no, let's say, pollution. It's also the food. What do you think when all this air conditioning is falling out and the storms are coming and the heat is coming? You can imagine that Belgium has some, let's say, heat waves 4 or 5 or 6 times of 45 to 50 degrees, 3, 4, 5 weeks. How are you going to cool this? That's why I started also with cooling. How are we going to cool these homes? How are we going to cool the food? How are we going to cool all these processes? So if you really want to design something, you have to look way back into the future. Otherwise, you're just designing something to be happy, but it's not something for humanity. And that's why we designed the Cool Lab. The Cool Lab is where we demonstrate all these alternative energy systems and invite people and just try to convince them that in their situation they have to think different. No, United Nations says they're going to make a Green Deal Bank. The Green Deal Bank means that there's a big bank where more than 400 banks of the world are connected with. And how is this going to work? The people actually today, they still buy things. But I have the impression that the young people don't want to buy things anymore. They want to Uber things,
experience,
rent things,
experience. Yeah.
So I think that this technological upgrade is something that the investment funds provides to the people, and they rent it back on 30 years. And then a technological upgrade of your home only costs €3 a day. I mean, this is not everybody can overcome €3 a day, especially here. Not in Africa or in India, but here everybody can easily pay €3 a day. Sometimes I see beers which cost €3.
Yeah, after COVID, yeah, for sure. I think it's €3 now.
So if we really want to transform all these buildings, it means that we have to, the energy going into these buildings have to come from solar technology, they have to come from kites, probably they have to come from gravity technologies or from wave technology. Every technology possible we're going to need to give the comfort to the people of the heat waves coming or the cold winters coming. I'm not talking about the bacteriological things in the transformation coming to us. It means that these homes have to be closed and they are like oxygen bubbles where the air inside is better than outside. And that's also where Jaga actually is busy with, in making an example of a home like this, where where you can really live off-grid, and actually that the air inside is biological correct, and also that your farming is beside your home, but not in an open farming system, but in a closed bubble. So it's a little bit like living on the moon principle, where you get your energy from the sun, and you have to create your food, you have to make your water circular, and you have to make your energy circular.
Completely closed loop.
Yeah.
Closed system.
That's the top of the mountain. That's the ideal. And get out of here, people say you're insane. But that's the only road which is real. In the meantime, we say, oh, it's a lot nicer when we put the nose of the ship more out of the wind and we can make more speed, but we're heading to something which can kill us all. But nature doesn't care about people.
Nature will continue to exist.
They don't, yeah. We just have to find a way that we can survive on this planet. But if, yeah.
And so the end goal of Jaga is to be the company that enables individuals who are living in homes to have a completely closed loop system for their heat, for their food, water, air, all the elements basically.
And entertainment.
And entertainment.
Entertainment, we created a bubble. I put it in living to model is an oxygen bubble, which can be printed from potatoes and is organic, and which can have organic LEDs. And inside you can, with a Wi-Fi connection or some kind of connection with the internet, you can visualize where you want to go, or you can do some... actually, that's what Meta is doing now. Facebook wants to bring this, but we already had this idea in 2006. And you can find it in Living Tomorrow. It's called Jaga Oxygen Bubble, where your imagination makes your traveling.
Sounds great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And I find it very fascinating how you started with this travel, this search all across the world.
Yeah, to find your inspiration, because how can you work without inspiration? How can you get and start with something if you don't know where you want to go? It's a ship, you get on and nobody knows the destination. I have the impression that nobody on earth knows the destination where we go.
But I fully get it, why you did it. And it's also very fascinating, I think, because I also met people all across Europe in my studies, and now friends of mine who are marrying and having children with people from Sweden and Norway. And it's way more common in those countries, basically almost every European country, to go after your high school to just go away for a couple of years.
I think it has to be
a curriculum. Yeah,
it has to be a curriculum. Everybody has to do it. Instead of going to the army, you have to go 2 years. And the Jews do it. The Jews, they do it. Lots of cultures do this. Americans do this. Dutch people do it a lot.
Everywhere
you climb a mountain and you say, this was a tough job, and you come on top of the mountain, you meet a Dutch guy. Or a Swiss. So we really have to promote the kids to get out and mix with the culture, so they learn the respect for the other cultures, they learn another way of looking to things, they get a second brain. The more languages you have, the more brains you have. Mm-hmm. Because every language is some kind of art in saying things. Mm-hmm. So if you come back to Belgium or to Flanders, I don't know where you want to line up the responsibility. We have, let's say, 3-4 million homes where we have to renovate them and get them off the grid, off the gas grid and off the oil grid. It means that we have to give this energy from the light, or some kites technology, or some gravity technology. It's a hard job, and the speed, I'm looking to the speed of renovation we have today, is 10% only from what we have to do. So it means...
so we will only get 1/10 done what we need to do by 2030.
It means all these people are not going to get energy in the future. So 90% of the people are out of energy. Because when we stop the energy supply, I can imagine that you say the world needs in 10 years from now half the pollution. We're only going to deliver half the energy.
But do you think that's really... do you really think that that's what they're going to do? If like we get to 2030?
If we're not going to do, you read the second, it's die. Yeah. It's the Titanic. If we don't change the direction of the boat, we hit the block. And I'm convinced about this. Because you have to listen to the speech of Sir David Attenborough on the United Nations. We can put them on here. These people they know the biological component very well, and they've seen the downgrade in nature. And there's only one thing we have to look to, is the CO2. And the day we get this down, one day, I'm happy. But still going up today. We're still burning more gas, we're still burning more oil, we're destroying more nature for food. Economy means destroy. For example, you take a tree in the jungle. It's worthless, people say. What is this tree doing there? I don't have anything from a tree. But when you destroy the tree, you can make wood from it for the houses. Oh, nice, they say. I can sell, I get some profit. And then when the wood is gone, they can put the cows there. There's a second time profit. So economy is actually destroying the world. Destroying the world is possible to a certain amount, but not at the amount we are doing today.
So what we actually need to achieve, and I have heard professors from MIT talk about it on podcasts, that we need a decoupling from economic growth and resource depletion.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
But it's the balance of nature is gonna regulate everything itself. If you look to the amount of raw materials we have, we only have for 25 years raw materials
left.
But can you imagine the price of these raw materials in 10 years or in 20 years from now?
Yeah.
So we are really standing before the mountain, and we have to really decide which steps we are going to take. And that's the responsibility of people who studied well everything, which at least studied everything 10,000 hours before they could judge about it. And today you see lots of information everywhere promoted. These people really did not study really this problem. And that's politics. So I think we have to go to another way of regulating what people need and what they do by some artificial intelligence system. And the Chinese are building this. They have it already. Everything is regulated by artificial intelligence. And you can imagine artificial intelligence like this things, but you can sing in 1 second. It can sing 30 years of seconds. So this intelligence is a lot higher. But the problem today is still, can we get it ethic or not? Because when you ask an artificial intelligence, what is the problem in the world? He would destroy humanity.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah, I've heard that the Chinese are experimenting with digital judges.
Yeah.
For lawsuits and in cases. And it kind of makes sense because today you say, okay, but that's a human. That's not an artificial system.
Yeah.
But the human is also flawed. There is research that says that you're like, 15 to 20% more likely to get a severe punishment if you are brought before the judge right before lunch when he's hungry and he's in a little bit more of a bad mood. Yeah. So the human is also flawed. It's not a perfect system. Yeah. But of course, I can only also understand the hesitation of people or societies to like give their control away to an digital artificial system.
If we want to have some chance to live together with all the other life forms, the billions of other life forms, we have to adapt. We have to adapt. And we don't want to adapt because we are king of the world. We know everything. We in nature we were nothing. Still we have a very deep frustration that we really are nothing because all these animals accept reality. We don't accept it. We want to change it. And that's a little bit where I come back by stealing the fire from the Mount Olympus, that the people actually are punished by the box of Pandora where the vanity and the greed and everything is inside. So I have an idea of making a big piece of art, a collected piece of art with all the schools and everything, that we bring back this fire to the Mount Olympus, this Olympic fire, which is bringing light and prosperity and for humanity.
Give away technology.
And that we say we come back then when we have given this fire to the Mount Olympus, the box of Pandora might close. This is the punishment. And then we come back with the green fire, which is the clean technology. And then all this vanity, all this sin box maybe will close. This is the fun part, actually. But I think when we would do something like this in some kind of heroic, artistic event, that it would waken a lot of people, especially when you help them, when you ask them to help on the road. Like maybe bringing the Olympic fire, you run back, but people can help to load the light with energy, see, with batteries. So and then they would really understand in some kind of international artistic event like Olympic Games, then you would really get maybe the consciousness higher of the people in the world.
And the work that you're doing with Jaga, Do you like everything concerning heating and ventilation and cooling? That's like
What we do there is
it's the most urgent.
Try to make a vision where the future is going to be, what is going to be to survive for humans, and we want to deliver this. We want to make that these technologies, that we can deliver this to the people, that they can protect themselves in the future world. Like we started with the fire, like you started with the temperature were very high. Why is a fire so good when you sit outside? Because it's killing all the bacteria around you. That's why we survived. And the animals did not have this, and you can bake some meat on it, because otherwise we had to eat whole day. We did not have any free time. So all these technologies are really deep inside of us, and this is what we have to destroy. So today we still are some kind of worm, which eats everything, and when you look behind him, he has a lot of waste. And we have to go to some kind of butterfly, which is actually lighter and takes a little bit of everything and does not make so much entropy. So going back to your houses, it is really now the time that we talk about this transformation.
Today.
Yeah, today. Because United says we only have 5 years at the speed we do today. So if we don't care, we play God, we only enjoy things like we want to have it, and we live our liberal life like we want to have it on the planet, 4 or 5 years from now, this is the drama is really going to start.
And are you seeing enough positive signals that this is a chance, that it's an option that we succeed? Or
I learned in life that only pain is changing people.
Yeah,
so we need to, first we have to feel the pain.
And do you
where is the pain first felt? Where there's not so much comfort, where there's not so much infrastructure to hide. Because these people have to live from the land. 5 billion people have to live from the land, not from the warehouses. What we have, where your logistic partners bring this every day nicely for us, shaped and ordered. We just have to pick it, and this does not even make us happy. When you go back and you go and live in these societies where these people have to fight day and night to get some food. Like in Indonesia, they say the jungle is my supermarket. And it's beautiful how these people can survive actually without all these technologies.
And are you going back to them?
No,
these days?
I think we have to learn a lot on these older cultures, how we can survive in the future.
Yeah, for sure. But today, do you see have you visited like the people you were close with in the 70s, and do you see that it's becoming an issue for them? Do you see that the pain is already happening more there than here?
Yeah, for example, California has been on fire. No houses insured. If you look to Australia, it has completely been 9-10 months on fire. 3 billion animals died. They only talk about the people who didn't die, but there's about 3 billion animals died.
In Australia?
With the fire they had.
Jesus.
The only thing is what's going to happen when the air conditioning is really melted. Then the heat waves come, and that's why we designed today cool labs. Labs is a place where everybody can come and bring ideas how we're going to survive this heat, because your food is going to be burned, the water is going to be evaporated, so you have to keep everything in a closed circle. But that's what I built there in the cool lab.
But then you already assume that we're going to this worst case scenario, that we're going to
There is no way back. We just have to adapt. There is no way back. I mean, we're going through the Anthropocene. This is another time. The nature's living 2,500 times longer than we are. We already had everything. So we're just 1 second. So when we really want to adapt, we really have to adapt all our technologies to what the future is going to bring. And that's a lot of heat. And the water is going to be a problem. So we have to keep the water close to us and generate fruit on a regenerative way. Not like today we throw a lot of new stuff on it, which is destroying the world too. On the regenerative way, we have to build the food systems. And that's a big drama, I'm telling here to the people. But that's actually the truth. Now I can tell you other stories which people hear a lot love, and they say, oh, that's nice, that's a good guy, and we're going to have him here. But I don't want to play the Jesus Christ. We just want to generate these technologies to help these people.
And what are the most promising technologies that have come out of the cooling lab? How long does it exist now?
I opened the cooling lab, I think, in July. In July.
2021, last year?
Yes.
Okay.
Dus there we generate the energy out of solar technology, and we use also batteries to stock this energy. Because batteries are not a real solution for the future. We have to find something maybe with gravity, that we can pump your house up 5 meters when we have energy, and that it can sink back and generates back electrical energy, you see. So gravity, I think, is a good solution in the future. I also want to make a lot of ice, with solar ice, that you have some out of the sun, you make directly ice, so that you can let this ice melt in the summer without using electricity.
Okay.
With sun technology, you can make ice.
How? Yeah, you have electricity, and the electricity makes
ice. You can make
okay.
evaporative systems.
And you store
And
electricity.
this ice is stored before you had some kind of gas tank in your house or an oil tank. In the future, you're going to have an ice tank. A tank full of ice when the heat waves come, because the electricity is going to be shut off when the heat comes.
And you will need the ice to survive.
You need the ice to survive, yes. I learned this because I lived a lot in these deserts, and I looked to all these tribes, how they do this. Without ice, there's no possibility of living on the surface. Otherwise, you have to go and live under the surface.
So cultures who already live in deserts for a while, they already use ice to keep themselves cool.
Yes, they did it 3,000 years ago. They had this technology 3,000 years ago.
How did they make ice from sun 3,000 from the sun 3,000?
They built some kind of forms where they used the radiation of the night to freeze the ice into this insulated form. The cold radiation from the stars they used actually to make the ice at night. And in the day it was insulated. They already had this. When you go to the Inca, I visited all these historical tribes. They had so much problem with the viruses and bacteria that they says we're going to live above the virus and bacteria line. That's why they lived so high, 4,000 or 5,000 meters above. There's no bacteriological growth there.
Oh, that's a new insight.
So we can learn a lot.
They already innovated.
Yeah, they were very innovative. I don't think people get so much smarter by the thousands of years. But they were very smart. And so we can look also how nature is doing this, because we have 3 billion life forms also surviving on the planet. And they are as far as we are. They are also here today. So, I mean, evolutionary. We are not further than any other bacteria.
We're just another form of life.
We're just another form of life, yes. So if you look to what we're gonna need. We are not like a snail which has a small house. That's a very good invention. You go and sit in the house and you don't need anything. We have to make maybe suits where we can cool the people with or heat the people with. Suits. So you can also make a suit. I can make a suit where you can get solar energy. I can heat you in the winter, and also can make evaporative systems that you can cool yourself. With a suit, you don't need to cool down the whole house or anything you walk in.
So this cooling lab is really like an exploration into how can we keep...
Deep exploration, ideologic aspiration. Of course, technology that we do today has a glimpse of this, but it's where it's all going to. So we already started with these radiators who can heat at 35 degrees, so I only have to generate water which is 35 degrees, and at -10 I can give you comfort with this. But at the same time, this technological radiator, at the same time as a smart radiator, it can also be fed with cold water of 20 degrees to cool you, see? And this water is either generated by getting it out of the soil or letting this ice melt if you don't have the soil around you.
But it's not air conditioning; it's active cooling.
No, it's ecological cooling. Air conditioning is the worst thing you can have. It will only add energy to the world.
Okay.
It's the worst situation you can go with air conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
So we try to make ecological cooling systems, ecological heating systems.
The passive cooling, I said active, but I meant passive cooling.
Yeah, we found a niche. We found some doctor which examined what is comfort, and he made a special meter around it. It's Dr. Fanger. It's a Swedish guy, or is it Danish? I don't know exactly. And he made a special meter what comfort is. And this meter is manufactured today, and we use this meter and see, is there comfort if I use this very light cooling system, this ecological cooling system, or this very low heating system? And we can assure all the people visiting the lab that this is a comfortable situation. So I built there a house. I built there also a green yard where you can create your food, a bubble, where I keep the water also with cooling inside the bubble. So we are making slowly steps into the future to demonstrate to people which visit Jaga, the climate designers, that there are possibilities. So we want to bring hope to the people, not a lie. Hope is better than lying. Saying that gas is the good solution is a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Nuclear energy today, we are 30 years too late. Maybe there's some technology with some gifted professors or communities which created this, but it's not today deliverable.
It's going to take a decade to build.
And nobody can assure politics which are stable to protect this against humanity, because somebody can take a nuclear plant and put a gun at you or take our energy away. So political stability is not really an issue today.
So you're a big fan of decentralized heating and cooling systems?
Minimum 50% must be decentralized.
On
your
an
food,
individual
your
level.
energy, your water, your air must be... You have 50%. When you can do 50% of this and the rest can come from the community, we are in a good balance.
Mm-hmm.
It does not have to be 100%. So we make these hybrid radiators, coolers, which already make this step into the future. So we have I see on the if you look to the amount of houses now, when you go back and look to the houses, let's say there's about 3 million houses.
In Belgium,
the speed of renovation must be 10 times higher, and everybody's still waiting. I don't know why.
Yeah, we're trying something, but
you're trying something, but. I don't. If it's not happening, we really need drastic solutions and a communistic society about energy. So the democracy is not making the choice.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. So do you think that the challenges that we're facing, do you believe in a democratic solution to this? Or do you think it will need to be a more centralized...
If it would be a planet full of angels, I would believe that democracy would bring us. But I don't have the impression we live on a planet full of angels.
So you think the societies like China will have an easier time, have a better chance innovating or adapting to the challenges?
Especially with the Taoism, which is actually a special life form, which is not wasting too much, which is respect for certain things. I think they're going to go a lot faster than us with our individualistic way of looking to things.
Do you think we will need to be pushed towards a more Taoistic view of things with these challenges? Do you think the pain that we will be experiencing
will bring us there?
Yeah.
It will bring us there. But you have to forgive everybody.
Yeah, there's no other way.
There's no other way. Because
you can start running around angry, but...
No, and we have to get all this money which has been generated, whether in the process was pollution, we need that money to make a green fund, to transfer the world to a balanced world.
So all the money that's now in the Middle East with Saudi Arabia, that needs to be put into
all
a
the
clean
money
fund.
Where energy was used which was not clean. And that's a lot. It's practically all the money. All the money was food was released where there was no pollution. So actually, all the money of the world we're going to need to invest into a transformation of the planet and to let the nature rewild, like Attenborough says. We have to rewild the nature again.
But that's kind of what we're seeing now, no? In the States, there's these big funds that Biden has pushed through, which are all focused on making very clean investments. In Europe, it's also happening.
And for people in the manufacturing business, it's easy. You just sell to a fund. You get your money immediately, and the fund is renting it out.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing changing. Instead of a customer before you sell to a fund. And this fund is selling this piece per piece in 30 years.
Or renting it out.
Yeah.
That's what the European Central Bank is saying now, that in the future you will own nothing, but you will be happy. That's what they're pushing now.
But I think when it all comes down, when the whip comes down, it's going to be like this, I think.
I see a lot of signals that indicate towards that.
But to make it now practical, if we go down a little bit on the boat, now we have been sitting up on the boat and we look very far and we see all the ice and we see the problems in the future. For the people of every day, it's to give them hope. It means that the money which is not in the process of their lives has to come back and help them. See, and that's where all the people with a lot of money, they can be very generous and bring this money into these funds. And they can also have a little profit of this. But in the end, you have to share all the profit. Mm-hmm. So it's actually... So what my dream with Jaga Climate Designer is that we can make some kind of technological fund and that we can sell to these money funds and that these people can rent it out. And that can be a job for the state or the politics, maybe.
Mm-hmm. It's a very interesting discussion up to now. I'm just quickly going to check how long have we been recording already? All right, cool. Let's see, where are we going to go from here? You said we were on top of the boat. We're taking it level...
Management now. Yeah.
Management now.
Politics and... because top of the boat, you have to be very spiritual to be there. To live out of the box. It's an artistic way of thinking.
And it's far in the future.
Yeah,
it's
you
looking
can see
ahead,
very far. And you're alone there. There's nobody up there.
Not a lot of people.
You're nobody up there. But if you go down to the people who manage a lot of people, I think they also feel the need in creating something beautiful. Because that's why we are on Earth here, to create beauty.
I think everyone's. If you're in touch with yourself, you have that need.
So we have to make this transformation possible. And the biggest problem are the financial systems which we have. We are fighting and fighting and fighting, and your financial system is pushing you to looking for the cheapest thing, to looking for the quickest thing, see? And to looking for the most competitive thing. For example, there is a job. In China, for example, 3 companies, they go together and they fix the job. Here, 3 companies, they are competitive. One has the job and the 2 others, they get up in the morning, they feed their children, they go to the home, they sit in the traffic jam, they come home. They have no work. So the competitive system is not a good system. We have to go to more collaborative systems when we see some big jobs. Not one has the job. We're all going to need to have the job. But everybody has a part in it. And that's some kind of way between the neo-capitalism where we are in and also the Eastern collaborative economies.
And you see that in the near future there will need to be more divergence towards the more Eastern philosophies in the West?
Yeah, I think there's going to... I'm not talking about the Russian things. I'm not talking the way behind Russia everywhere. The politics where they have another... the way of life where the spirit of things and the performance in life is the most important. Not what you have.
Or what you did. Or what you did.
So what you did. Today you can have a lot of money and not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very strange for the young people. They see a guy, he has never been doing anything, he has all the money, and the other guy has been going to the job every morning, they have nothing. That's an easy... What do you think? I want to be that guy. Yeah? And he found some tricks together with the governments and the banks. They find some tricks to get rich. And the other ones, they don't know these tricks, and they stay and the same. Eh?
That's not a good example for kids, for young people.
So I think the things we did with the kids, like this Transformation Act, is something I want to do with kids. I'm ready for this. To generate 30 or 40 kids and to do something with them, to learn them something.
Mm-hmm.
Because when they stay in the box and behind the screen, it's going more empty and empty.
Do you see a link towards everything that we've just been talking about and what happened in the last 2 years with COVID, do you see like a connection between these things?
Yeah, the COVID is an experiment. The climate change is going to be 10, 20 times worse. This is an experiment how that we have to behave when there's a crisis coming in.
And what do you think? How did we behave?
I think we behaved very well. There were no real revolutions. Nobody destroyed the parliament and so. And I think we are very adapted. I believe in people. I'm not somebody who is creating dramas. I believe in people. I believe in the power of creativity, bringing higher technologies, more solidary projects and everything. I believe in these things. But today we are in some kind of mist. That's when you ski from the mountain, suddenly you have mist. Nobody knows where skiing. That's the moment where we are today. But the moment we have a little sun ray, we exactly see where we have to go. And then this collaborative feeling inside of us, because we are a social animal.
What could this ray of sunshine be?
Some companies will prove that what they can and that people can look to it, or some places in the earth where we kept nature alone and let it regenerate.
And are there companies that you think of that are now examples of this?
Yes, I think there's lots of companies. I think 5 to 10% of the companies are going for the truth, but it's unpayable. It's very difficult. It's difficult.
Today it's unpayable.
It's very difficult. I mean, it's you have to go for responsible money then.
But don't you think there's going to be a huge opportunity for companies like Jaga? Because you're now positioning yourself, if you look at it from a strategic economic position, you're perfectly positioned to be in a huge demand in the next couple of years when these legislations are going to change, and like the Netherlands gas is already gone.
Yeah.
So there will be more and more attention for heating systems.
For us, it just started.
Yeah.
We just started. We've worked all these years finding all these technologies, doing this. But today we bring these technologies. We do Facebook buildings in the United States. All the Facebook buildings, because they know us from Burning Man. We did the biggest airport in the world in China. We did the highest tower in Russia.
You did Putin's home?
I mean, we when you're sitting very high, you see also very high. I mean, all these high tops where people are very responsible, nice architects, good engineering offices, nice politics, they create beauty in these big temples they make, these new churches. And I think we just have to bring this technology down to the people of every day.
And if this demand is going to increase and increase and increase, will you, with Jaga, be able to produce enough?
No. We will not be able, because we're already experiencing that we don't have this product and this product, so the products will have to be generated very locally. So I'm bringing back, for example, in Jaga China, we make already 25 different heat pump types for Chinese market.
Heat pumps?
Yeah. We make there for the Chinese market.
I had no idea.
So I'm bringing these technologies here. I mean, I copied the China. What we did today, we have an Open Innovation Act. So I can copy what I have there, and I'm going to plant it back here. Because in Industry 4.0, which is going to come, you have to manufacture as close as possible with the consumer. So this is finished that you transport everything. Or you send a digital system to some kind of machinery which is exactly the same as we have here. So when you print your product at a distance. So all these logistics are finished. We can leave all these logistics. And maybe these logistical warehouses we can reuse for food. So there's a lot of transformation coming. And we need to open the brain and not holding the old. That's the problem. Too many hold the old. That's why this transformation, what I made in the desert with all the friends and everything, with 100 people of Jaga and some friends, is what's going to happen with the world. Because we burned or totem. And that's what the fire is going to do with the world. See? So this is a very spiritual act. And also the act with the kids enlightened also a lot, that there's a lot of good in us. Because when the kids see this, we just have to make what the kids want. It's very easy. Because they were thinking the right things.
Maybe, because you mentioned it a couple of times already, maybe elaborate a bit more on the the thing that you built at Burning Man. So it was a huge statue, and then you burned it.
This is what we do with the world. All the beauty we're going to burn.
So it was a...
I mean, everything what you see is destroyed in one day in nature. If you see these tsunamis, if you see these fires, if you see these bacteriological transformations which are maybe coming out of this, we are bringing into the atmosphere. How much energy you think? A second.
No idea. I know we burning 56 billion tons of CO2.
It's the same as letting explode 4.5 million atomic bombs a second.
A second?
A second.
Globally?
Yeah, we don't bring this energy. So it's, if you look to the last, 4.5, sorry, I bet it wrong, 4.5 atomic bombs a second.
Right.
So so it's about 3.5 milliard bombs we already have exploded. It's all in the bubble. Eh? This energy is not gone.
No.
How can it go away?
It can't.
First, it's gonna melt all the ice, because when you look to a cubic meter of ice, to melt this, you need a lot of energy, 80 times more than water to heat up water. Mm-hmm. So when all this ice is melted, of course the sea will rise and all this stuff. This is a drama. All this heat is going to be, let's say, affected in the air. Before we had it, 2 million years ago, we had this climate, but then it was impossible to live for humans, having agriculture, having cities. It's only started, if you hear Sir Attenborough talk, about, let's say, 2,000 to 10,000 years ago. We had very stable ice. We still live in the ice age now. As long as there is ice on the North Pole and the South Pole, we live in ice age. We are still living in ice age. When all this ice is gone, all the energy is going to be affected in the water and in the air. And you're going to have a very high temperature. Mm-hmm. So we have to protect the food and the humans and all the other life forms. So coming back to the boat from the top to the bottom, we have to give people hope. Companies have to give people hope. They have to be more idealistic. They have to do the right things. Because today, everything is destroyed by the press.
By the press?
Press and the humans also. Social media is destroying everything, actually. So we have to generate beauty again where people believe in.
Can you say a little bit more about why press and social media is destroying everything?
Because I think deep down in their heart, they also maybe want something else than we have. And they were not part in creating it. Because when we go to make a painting together, and I make a painting alone, you criticize it. When we together make a painting, you're not going to criticize your own painting.
And the thing that the press
So interactivity is taking the critics away. Mm-hmm. Being part of something. So we have to make some kind of idealistic, open, interactive decision-making machines, which is artificial intelligence. So this is, I'm talking now very high, very out of the box, very looking to the world. How can humans survive the first 100 years? And what you see today that we live, the way we live today is only good for 1 billion people.
1 billion.
But the manner of living, by destroying nature, by making so many products, it's only good for 1 billion people, not for 7 billion.
Now the 10 where we're going toward. We're going to 10 billion by 2100, I think.
Yeah, I think when you read history, or you look to the rapids, something is going to happen. The Club of Rome already told us that something is going to happen then. Things will not grow to the stars.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Jan, maybe to switch it a little bit at the end.
Yeah. Because you can cut away what you want. You can mix it. Make a piece of art of it. It's your thing.
We use it exactly as we have been recording it now. We don't do any editing.
So what we do, the government has to be as quick as possible creating this green bank.
This
green bank.
Right.
Where people can rent the stuff for upgrading their homes. And then everybody's perfect, because everybody wants to give his money to joy and pleasure and a good social life. Nobody wants to invest in these perfect homes. Mm-hmm. So, and if the government creates this green bank, they can rent this energy. They can rent this upgrade.
Maybe a couple of final questions. I hear you talk with a lot of passion about what you do at Jaga, or the vision behind Jaga and how Jaga can make a difference. But if you wouldn't have been working at Jaga, or if you wouldn't have been leading Jaga for the last 4 decades, what else do you see yourself doing? If you wouldn't have joined Jaga, what would you be doing?
Maybe with an NGO, or maybe do some artistic music or something, or art. I'm a little bit in the wrong place. Because
I'm not surprised by the answer. Let me put it that way. Yeah.
But maybe it's good that you have some people in wrong places.
Yeah, it mixes things up.
Yeah, because you have then the possibility of looking at another way. Yeah? I'm not saying they're in the wrong place. Maybe history wants this. But I think there's lots of people in art, in music, in industry, and in politics, which have the same meaning, I think. And this is what we have to connect.
And you've been active at Jaga for the last 40 years?
No, 52.
52 years.
Yeah, the first time I did some tests on a radiator was in the garage of my dad. He was installer, and at that moment, and they were starting to make this new type of convector, which was a lot cheaper and faster and more decorative and nicer design. Yeah, I mean, he took me to the garage and said, "Today, this is your job." So I had to make a water circuit. I had to let the water run through. I had to measure the temperature, and by opening the garage, I could measure actually the temperature. I could control the temperature up to 20 degrees, and then I had to measure how much liter water was going through it, and I had the output. You see, it's a little bit like I've always been there.
And today you're still fully involved? You're still working full time at the business?
Yeah, what else can you do?
I don't know. That's got to be my next question. How do you see yourself evolve in that role?
To be passionate about something is being that you're a little bit insane.
Yeah, you spend so much time on something.
Yeah, you're a little bit insane that you really, really keep on trying. It's like an artist, he wants to keep on trying this one painting in his life where everybody says, wow. There's only 3 words we have. In every culture you come, he. That's what the girls say. Ha, ha, ha. That's what the man says. Whoa. And the whoa has to come. If you make something and you don't have the whoa, you're unsatisfied. Eh?
And you haven't found the whoa
No,
yet.
I look myself a little bit as Scrat in Ice Age. You know Scrat? This little going for this nut.
The nut, yeah.
And you never reach the nut. But actually it's saving the planet, but you don't know how.
Yeah, okay. So you're going to keep going?
Yeah, we're going to keep going because it just started.
Okay, great answer. If there was one person, living or death, that you could have a chat with, or a beer, or have a dinner, who would it be?
Would be an Indian.
An Indian?
An Indian out of the past or something. A wise man.
A wise Indian?
A wise Indian, yeah.
Have you been to India a lot?
Yes, you meet them everywhere. Huh? But they're no disguised in our clothes. Huh? But before, there were people which had some spiritual insight, like Dalai Lamas have it. These people have some higher brains than we have. Huh? Then I would maybe have the possibility to tap a little bit on maybe this even higher mountains that I'm standing on. Huh? And that's what I want to know.
To meet someone who's on the highest overview.
Yeah.
If there's one place that you would advise our listeners to go to in this beautiful world of ours that you have already seen in your many, many years of travel, what would it be?
The Andes.
The Andes?
The Andes, yes.
South America.
South America, because it makes you so small that you realize that everything you're doing is nothing. And we don't have these mountains anymore here. We don't feel small anymore. We feel superlative. Eh? But then you see that when you see that the Inca were offering their kids to the mountains, the most beautiful kids to the mountains, they were offering them to keep the mountains silent, but it could destroy every moment, everything. And this means that the respect for the bigger things where we live in is something we lost. And that's what you have to get back. And that's what you get through your travels, because they don't know where you are. Everything can happen to you. You feel very small, and that's what makes you great.
So you would advise people to go to places where they feel small.
Yeah. Where they feel small, and this is some kind of vibration which is awakening you. That there's nothing you've been doing. Every morning I get up, I said to the mirror, you haven't done anything yet. And that thing for humanity, we also haven't done anything yet, because until now we took everything.
And we're still very young.
Yeah, we're still very young, yeah.
Okay, Jan, I found it a very, very interesting first conversation.
Yep.
Is there anything else that you would like to say before we finish this off for our first round?
I think I believe in vibrations, like music, like beauty, like design is giving a certain vibration. I think the responsibility of people who can influence a lot of people is that they bring the right vibration. It's like you're playing music. You have to touch the hearts of the people. And it's not the wallet, the heart. It's the hearts of the people. And that before they say something or do something, that they really think back, am I doing really the right thing for humanity? And that's very important. And of course, nature, which is forgotten in all this track that we have done until now.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a very beautiful place to end it.
Yeah, thank you.
I would like to thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, I hope you have some support in it into your communication.
I think it will be a highly appreciated episode.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot I need to think through about everything that was just mentioned.
My dream is that everybody becomes a climate designer.
Okay, that's a beautiful way to end. Jan, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And let's talk again in the near future.
Deal.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Bao Podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to subscribe to our channel. If you're interested in Bao Living in our Smart Adaptable Module or SAM, go check out our website baoliving.com. If you want to stay up to date, you can best subscribe to our monthly newsletter on our website or follow us on all social media platforms where we're named @Bao Living.